absolute. 꼭은 absolute. But here you're emphasizing, so absolutely 꼭 필요하다. Necessary. To be necessary means you absolutely have to have it. So I don't think it's absolutely necessary to, you're trying to talk about 영국 or UK. You could say study in UK or study in the United States. But instead, you can link it together and just say study abroad. Study abroad. Because if you want to go to the United States or the UK to study, you are studying abroad. So I'm just taking out 영국 and 미국. I just don't think it's necessary. So altogether we have I see. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to study abroad in order to learn English. And of course, we're continuing on to the next sentence. What do we have to look at?
자신에게 가장 잘 맞는 공부 방법을 찾는 게 정답인 것 같아요. I think so as well. And funny enough, there's a picture of me there. This is my thought. Most definitely. 자신에게 가장 잘 맞는 공부 방법. 찾는다. to find, right? But here, I like to use a word, discovering, because you're going through a series of events until you finally discover the study method that's best fit for you. And you can use the word best suits you. It means the same thing as best fit for you. And now, to complete this sentence off, I want to say is far more 더 중요하다. 이렇게 쓰고 싶어요. Because although you could say is the answer, right? 정답 is the answer. You're comparing and contrasting to the studying abroad. So I think it's more important that you make the comparison. I think it's far more important to say far more important. Haha. All right. So altogether we have discovering a study method that best suits you is far more important. Of course, and the nice, kind man responds, 권 선생님 덕분에 항상 힘이 나네요. Oh, I'm flattered. But you could translate this into something like, oh, you're giving me so much strength. I'm, energized by your word of encouragement. But I recommend something like this. Thanks to you, I always feel encouraged. Thanks to you, I always feel encouraged. 뭐 누구누구 덕분에 thanks to somebody. 누구누구 덕분에 thanks to somebody. And it's really not necessary to say 권 선생님 here just because we already know. We're talking to each other, right? You don't have to acknowledge me by my name. You could just say thanks to you, I always feel encouraged. 항상 힘이 나요. I always feel encouraged. All right, let's take a look at the next sentence. 작심삼일이 안 되길 응원합니다. Now, I love Korean language in this sense. Like, you have so many concise and detailed phrases. 작심삼일이라는 건 사자성어잖아요. And I love it that you can utilize this in a regular conversation. But unfortunately, that makes things complicated when we're trying to translate into English because no amount of words can adequately capture what this really means. 작심삼일, it kind of means like, I hope you don't fail, right? But that kind of sounds odd. So I'm just gonna omit that because I can't really utilize in a positive light that was used in a Korean sentence. So you could just say, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. 응원합니다. 앞에 걸 다 빼고 응원합니다. I'm rooting for you. Because when you're rooting for somebody, like you're a cheerleader for someone, then you don't really need to think about the failures, right? That's enough that you're rooting for somebody. There's no need to jinx, right? So one more time, 응원합니다. I'm rooting for you. My mom always had a hard time pronouncing the R word as opposed to the L word. I used to have difficulty saying year as opposed to ear. Pronunciation's always hard. And I think rooting is one of those words. So repeat after me just 2 more times. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. And that wraps up our entire dialogue for today. Let's listen to it all together in English, so listen carefully.
Starting today, I've decided to write a diary entry in English via Twitter. I'll try my best to write every day.
It sounds like a plan. How did you make such a resolution?
While speaking to one native English speaker on Twitter, I've realized the importance of studying English. But a promise to myself is never enough to keep me going, so here I am making a public proclamation.
I see. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to study abroad in order to learn English. Discovering a study method that best suits you is far more important.
Thanks to you, I always feel encouraged.
I'm rooting for you.
Were you able to follow along? I certainly hope so. I'm always rooting for you. All the time. Now, we're ready to take some of the expressions that we learned in the dialogue and utilize it in our Key Expressions Corner. More expressions, here we are. Let's take a look at the screen one more time. 번역의 중요성을 깨달았어요. 아까 깨달았어요 라는 말을 배웠죠? Do you remember? Of course, this is coming from your perspective, so you're going to start out with I have. 깨달다, 깨달았어요. Realized. I realized. What did you realize? 중요성, the importance. 번역. What do I always do on